Hey there! Welcome to 1% English Podcast, the daily English show that trains your ears and your brain just 20 minutes a day. Today, we'll join our two hosts to explore the simple yet happy life philosophy of farmer Jon Jandai.
So today we're taking a deep dive into the honestly really inspiring story of Jon Jandai. He's this remarkable man from Thailand who, he rediscovered the power of simplicity.
Yeah, he challenged all these modern ideas about poverty and success. And then with others, he created this vibrant learning community called Punpun.
So our mission today is really to unpack his journey. We'll look at the 4 basic needs he talks about mastering, and we'll discover how Punpun teaches these really practical skills for a more sustainable, maybe more joyful life.
And we'll see how focusing on those daily tangible actions, a bit like improving your English, just 1% every day, how that can bring about really incredible change, real life-altering stuff.
Okay, so let's get into this. Where should we start? His early life, I suppose.
Yes, let's start there, because the context of his childhood is really key. Jon grew up in a village where money wasn't really the main thing, not like today.
Right.
People mostly made things themselves. They bartered goods. They found happiness in, producing things, sharing, helping each other out.
And they didn't use the word poor.
No, not in the way we think of it. If things were tough, the word they used was suffering, which feels quite different from just lacking money, doesn't it?
It does. It feels deeper somehow. So what changed?
Well, according to Jon, things shifted dramatically when electricity arrived, and then television.
Ah, the TV.
Exactly. Suddenly the TV starts telling people they're poor if they don't have cash for, a television set or a motorbike.
This external definition of poverty?
Precisely. And this new idea pushed people to work harder and harder for money, thinking that would solve this new problem of being poor.
But it backfired.
Hugely, yeah. Ironically, the more they worked for money, the deeper into debt they fell.
Yeah.
And for these villagers, being in debt was even worse than this idea of being poor. It caused what Jon calls chronic suffering and low self-esteem.
Wow. It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? I mean, have you ever felt that society sets this bar for success or happiness that just feels almost impossible to reach sometimes? You work hard, you do all the things, but it doesn't quite lead where you thought it would.
That definitely resonates. Feeling like you're on a treadmill, working harder, but not getting happier or more secure. So what was the turning point for Jon himself? How did he break out of that?
Well, Jon felt that pressure intensely, so he did what many people do. He moved to the city, to Bangkok, thinking he could work his way out of this feeling of poverty.
Right, escape the village definition.
Yeah, but he found city life just very hard, very complicated, as he puts it.
And he really lived that struggle, didn't he? He talks about working 8 hours per day at least, sometimes much more.
And for what?
Well, barely enough money for a simple bowl of noodles. And his living conditions were tough. A small room where a lot of people slept, very hot. It forced him to ask this really fundamental question.
Which was?
Why, if he was working so hard, producing things for other people, why was his own life still so difficult? It makes you question the whole system, really, the link between effort and reward.
Absolutely. And this disillusionment, it didn't stop with work, did it? It extended to education, too.
That's right. He went to university, but found it very boring. He felt a lot of the knowledge was actually destructive, not productive.
Destructive? How so?
Well, he saw engineers and architects as, in his words, ruining more. Like the more they worked, the more mountains got flattened or good land got paved over. And agriculture. He felt it was teaching people how to poison the land, the water, with chemicals. Everything just seemed designed to be so complicated, so hard. It was a real moment of clarity for him, I think.
So completely disillusioned by city life, by the work, by the education system, what did he do?
He quit. He quit university and went back home. He decided to try living like he remembered from his childhood, focusing on simplicity, on self-reliance.
And this is where things get really interesting, where he starts focusing on those 4 basic needs.
Yes, and what's amazing is how he broke them down, made them seem manageable, easy even. It's like he flipped the modern script completely.
Okay, let's walk through them. First, food. What did he figure out there?
Get this. He realized he only needed to work about 2 months a year. 1 month planting rice, 1 month harvesting to get 4 tons of rice.
Oh, tons.
Yeah, and his family, 6 people, they ate less than half a ton a year. So loads left over to share or sell.
Incredible. And vegetables.
He started a small garden, spent just 15 minutes per day on it.
15?
15 minutes. and grew more than 30 varieties of vegetables, again, with extra to sell. Plus, he had 2 ponds. Food wasn't a problem anymore. It was abundant with very little work.
Okay, minimal work for abundant food. What about housing? That's usually a big one.
This is maybe even more mind-blowing. He built his own house using earthly building techniques. So using local, natural stuff, earth, straw, water.
Okay, and how long did that take?
He worked 2 hours per day, early in the morning, from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And he had a house in 3 months.
3 months, working just 2 hours a day.
Exactly. And he contrasts this with, as he calls them, clever people in the city who work for more than 30 years to pay off a house, often stuck in debt.
That contrast is, it's really stark.
He jokes now that his only problem is deciding which house to sleep in because he builds at least one house every year. It just totally reframes what shelter means and what it costs.
Okay, food and housing sorted with minimal effort. What about clothing?
For clothing, he simply stopped buying clothes for about 20 years. Yeah, he just used leftovers from people who visited him, clothes people left behind. He learned that expensive clothes, fashion, it doesn't change who you are inside. His advice, don't follow fashion, just stay here. Now he says he has too many clothes.
Okay. And the fourth need, medicine and health.
Here, he learned simple, natural ways to care for himself, using water to heal myself, how to use earth to heal myself, basic knowledge to heal myself. He started seeing sickness differently, too.
How so?
Not as something terrible, but more like a signal, a reminder that we did something wrong in our lives, telling us maybe we need to adjust how we're living.
So mastering these 4 basic things, food, shelter, clothing, health, what was the overall impact on him psychologically?
Oh, it was profound. He describes feeling very free, having less fear. He felt unique, like he didn't need to compare himself or try to be like anyone else.
That makes sense.
This practical, hands-on approach, knowing he could provide for his basic needs himself. It gave him this incredible confidence, a feeling of lightness. It completely changed his sense of self-worth because he wasn't dependent anymore.
Right? He wasn't relying on these complicated external systems for survival.
Exactly. And, this is such a powerful example of how those consistent, small, tangible actions, 15 minutes in the garden, 2 hours building, they lead to huge, life-changing results. It really speaks to that idea of getting 1% better every day, whether it's building a house or, say, improving your English. Those small efforts accumulate into something really significant. They build confidence, they build mastery.
That's a great connection. So Jon achieved this freedom for himself, but he didn't just keep it to himself, right? He wanted to share it.
Absolutely. He felt that many others must be feeling that same frustration he felt back in Bangkok, that feeling of being trapped.
So he started Punpun.
Yes, he co-founded Punpun in Chiang Mai back in 2003, and then later Punpun Eisen in Yeselthorn province in 2018.
And what are the main goals of Punpun?
Well, there are 2 core aims, really. The first, and maybe the most central, is seed saving.
Why seeds specifically?
Because, as Jon puts it so simply, seed is food, food is life. His point is, if you don't control your own seeds, if you depend on big companies for them, you don't really have freedom or happiness. Your life source is in someone else's hands.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah. So at Punpun, they collect, they grow, they share indigenous and rare varieties of seeds from Thailand and all over. They act like a living seed bank, constantly growing and exchanging seeds to keep biodiversity alive and ensure food security for people.
Okay, seed saving is number 1. What's the second aim?
To be a learning center, a place where people can learn how to make life easy. Because, as Jon argues, most of us have been taught to make life complicated and hard.
Right. Punpun is about unlearning that.
Exactly. Rediscovering simplicity and figuring out how to make it work in today's world.
And how do they teach this? What's their philosophy?
It's all about learning by doing. It's very hands-on, based on experimental and experiential learning.
So not just sitting in classrooms listening to experts.
Definitely not. They actually say they don't believe in experts, but in learning together by sharing our collective experience. Mistakes aren't failures. They're just opportunities for more learning.
I like that.
So people spend way more time actually working and experimenting with techniques rather than just talking about them. The goal is to give people the real practical confidence to take these skills home and actually use them.
That hands-on approach, it's so crucial for really learning something, isn't it? It makes me think, for anyone listening who's learning English, what's one small thing you could do today to practice, not just read about grammar, but actively use the language?
That's a great question for reflection.
So what kind of practical skills do they actually teach at Punpun?
Well, a big focus is natural building. using those local natural materials we talked about, adobe bricks, bamboo, straw, clay cob, stone.
The stuff Jon used for his own houses.
Exactly. They mix traditional techniques with new ideas and experiments, making these old ways relevant again.
What else?
Organic gardening, of course. Growing food without any chemical fertilizers, herbicides, or pesticides. They grow everything: rice, vegetables, herbs, local edible plants, fruit trees. They make their own compost. They even have fish ponds and chickens for eggs.
Wow, the whole system.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they also make sustainable products from what they grow. Things like kaffir lime shampoo, soaps, nut butters, jams, depending on the season.
And they offer courses.
Yes, they host workshops and courses in both Thai and English, actually, covering things like self-reliant living, organic gardening, community living, natural building, natural health. They have courses with things like what if, get grounded, food matters, land design, and appropriate technology.
Sounds fascinating.
And all of them really emphasize that learning through doing idea. Plus, you get an experience of actually living in a community while you're there.
It sounds wonderful, almost idyllic, but I imagine it wasn't easy getting it started. You mentioned the land wasn't great initially.
Not at all easy. The land they got, especially for the first center, was really degraded and eroded. They've been used for growing corn, just corn year after year.
Monocropping, which kills the soil.
Right, it makes soil infertile. So they started with bad land, with no money, and few people. It was a real challenge.
So how did they turn it around?
Slowly, patiently. They started by planting banana trees, which are great for improving soil. They brought in manure, made compost, used mulch, basically. They worked hard to heal the land, and they built everything themselves, by hand.
A true labor of love and belief in their philosophy.
Exactly. Their goal wasn't just to create a nice place for themselves, but to build a model. Something other farmers, other people, could look at and see that, yes, this is possible. You can live this way.
That's key, isn't it? Making it believable.
Definitely. Jon really emphasizes that true security doesn't come from money in the bank. It comes from the ability to grow your own food, build your own home, and provide for your own needs. And crucially, doing it using simple, low-technology alternatives that individuals are able to manage and understand easily.
Simple, manageable, understandable, not complicated.
Exactly. It shows that real, significant change can come from, well, humble beginnings and just consistent daily effort, even starting with degraded land and no money.
What an incredible story. So just to recap, we've journeyed through Jon Jandai's philosophy of making life easy. We've looked at the practical wisdom of self-reliance through those 4 basic needs.
Food, housing, clothing, health.
Right. And we've discovered the really impactful hands-on work being done at the Punpun Center. Their story is such a powerful reminder that a fulfilling life maybe doesn't have to be so complicated or expensive or based on what society tells us success looks like.
It's about reconnecting with what actually sustains us, finding joy in simplicity, perhaps.
Yeah, and bringing it back to our listeners and maybe their own learning journeys. Just like Jon Jandai found this incredible freedom through small, consistent, self-reliant actions. Remember that your daily efforts to improve your English, even if it feels like just 1% better each day, whether you're listening now or speaking later, reading, writing, it all adds up. It builds real skill, real confidence over time.
It really does. It's about building that foundation of mastery, isn't it?
Yeah.
One small, manageable step at a time. Just like building an earth house, maybe.
I love that comparison. So we'll leave you with a final thought from Jon Jandai himself. He famously says, the choice to be easy or to be hard, it depends on you.
Powerful.
So what small, simple, consistent action could you take starting today to make your own life or maybe just your English learning journey feel a little bit easier, a little more fulfilling, something to think about?
Something to do.
Exactly. Until our next deep dive.
Congrats! You just crushed your 1% for today. If you're loving this podcast, show that subscribe button some love. And don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss your daily dose of 1%. That's it for today. Take care, keep growing, and we'll see you tomorrow.